Hey, what's up, you guys? It's me, Britney Spears, America's #1 pop star. And today, actually, you guys, gotcha, it's me, Nick, duh. And it's not Halloween, but that doesn't mean that I can't spend the day dressing up like Britney Spears and making chicken wing dip. So, the chicken wing dip that I'm going to be making today is one that I have been making for years. It is my absolute favorite. It is a no frills. It's not like a fancy, extra pretty chicken wing dip. An it's a buffalo chicken wing dip connoisseur's chicken wing dip. It is for eating. It is delicious. I will most likely eat this entire batch myself, which is going to be so fun. I'm also going to make a buffalo hummus, which will mimic some of those flavors, but it will be vegan. So let's get started on those because I've been slowly working towards doing this all day and I'm starving. The first thing we're going to do is take a baking dish. About this size that you can see here would be good. You could also use a 9x13. It will just be a thinner layer, but use whatever you have. We'll first put in 8 ounces of shredded Monterey Jack cheese. You can sometimes find this pre-shredded like I did, or if not, just get a brick and grate it yourself. It'll be a little cheaper if anything. So we've got our Monterey Jack. Next, let's do cream cheese. I've got a regular and a light cream cheese. I usually like to do one of each, either like a non-fat and a regular, or get 2 of those, third less fat. It really will just change the amount of oil that's in your final product in a way that I don't think the extra oil adds anything. I usually would end up sopping some of it off the top with a paper towel. So if you use regular cream cheese for both, which is totally fine, you might just have a little extra oil on the top, but again, totally cool. We've got our cream cheese here, and I'm going to go ahead and use a fork and just start breaking these up and get them mushed together a little more. Alright, now for the sauce, the next part that we're going to do is 1/2 cup each of your favorite ranch and blue cheese dressing. Now, I do think using both of these is important. If for some reason you are absolutely averse to blue cheese, you can do a whole cup of ranch. Though if I'm being honest, I don't think you taste too much blue cheese. I think they're both key in getting the flavor right. So I definitely recommend use each. Don't do one or the other. And alright, we're at a cup total there. And then comes the hot sauce. I use Frank's. My preferred is the buffalo kind. The regular Frank's is a little bit spicier, so if you're using that, I would go for 3/4 of a cup. But because I have the buffalo, which I prefer, I'm going to do a full cup. So we can add that right on top here. And make the whole thing measure out to be 2 cups. So we'll go ahead and add the 2 cups total of, we have a 1/2 cup each ranch and blue cheese dressing, and then 1 cup of Frank's buffalo wing sauce. Now go ahead, keep mixing this up, try and get it homogeneous. Take your time, don't make too much of a mess. I had my cream cheese at room temp for a while, but my apartment's a little colder than I think I realized. But that's okay. We do the best we can here, and then as it's in the oven, every 15 minutes or so, we can give it a stir to break up the pieces of cream cheese more as they melt. Last thing, I have about 1 pound of chicken breast that I put in a pan. This was actually maybe about 1.33 pounds that I had. And a little bit of oil and salt and pepper on both sides, and I cooked it until they were browned on each side. I think the browning helps add flavor, and even though it's kind of basic, just the salt and pepper at this step also helps make the final product end up a lot nicer. You really don't want to just use straight up plain chicken if you can add a little more flavor to it. So, and then what I do is take some kitchen shears and just snip it up into pieces. That's the quickest way, I think. That's really it. It's a pretty simple recipe. This is where if you wanted to, you know, after it's baked some or before it goes in the oven, add a little bit of like blue cheese crumbles to the top, make it look cute. You could do at the end some scallions chopped up on the top. You could do a layer of cheese on the top here. A layer of cheese we find more than welcome. But I don't. I don't think this needs it. I think this is exactly what you need right here. Also, a little tip here. Before you put it in the oven, don't forget to take a piece of paper towel, go around the edge of your baking dish to wipe up, clean that edge, otherwise that's going to brown and cook on there, and then your dish will look ugly when you take it out. So I've got my oven at 400. This is something that, you know, it just needs to warm through, give it time to bubble, give it time to brown a little bit. About 30 minutes, checking it halfway, giving it a stir. It can go 40, 45 minutes if you want to. Again, just depending on how much you want the top to brown, how bubbly you want it. Just keep an eye on it, and I'm going to pop this in. So now we'll get started on the buffalo hummus. And first thing, I just have a can of rinsed chickpeas that I'm going to put into my NutriBullet. It definitely works in the NutriBullet if you have something like a food processor. I definitely think that might be a little easier to work with, but use what you have. 2 garlic cloves. I grabbed 2. One's a little bigger, one's a little smaller. If you have one big one, that should be fine. I am going to grate these just because I have the microplane. If you don't, just do a fine dice. You should still be fine, especially if you have a better food processor or something like that. But if you do have a microplane, this way we just make sure that it gets distributed nicely. No one ends up with like a bite of garlic, raw garlic, because that ain't cute. Though it is healthy. Next I'm just going to do a little bit of salt and pepper. A little bit light on the salt. That's maybe like 1/8 of a teaspoon. But let's start there, because the hot sauce that we will use is a little bit salty itself, and we don't want to make it too salty. Next, give just a few grinds of black pepper, nutritional yeast. It is uniquely cheesy. You can use it almost like Parmesan, although it is definitely different than Parmesan, but there's something about it that is so good. I have a tablespoon here. We put that in, and let's do another half. So we did 1.5 tablespoons, and that will help mimic the buffalo dip, you know, cream cheesiness. It'll help give it that sort of a vibe instead of just straight up buffalo sauce. Again, we've got our buffalo flavor, Frank's Red Hot. I want to use some of this to garnish on the top, so we don't have to go too crazy blended in, but, you know, of course we want some. So I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of hot sauce, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and also 2 tablespoons of water, just to help thin it out a little more, help it blend without adding too much oil. I also didn't think the garlic flavor was as pronounced as I would like, so I added in just some garlic powder. I think garlic powder has a little bit of a different flavor than fresh garlic for sure, so the addition of this as well, probably about 1/2 teaspoon that I put in, I think really rounded it out. So we've got our buffalo hummus in this little dish here, and I had an idea that I thought might work and might look really nice to present it. I'm not 100% sure if it will work in actuality, but let's give it a shot. So what if we did, starting down here, pushing inwards, up to the top, and now we'll take a little more hot sauce. Let's see if this actually works. Well, sorta, it's getting there. We'll help it along the way. There. Maybe it won't run down like a waterfall, but you can at least fill this up. It makes a cute little pattern on the top. Look at that. Look at that, that's so cute. I know, you know, you want something green, maybe make it look nice, you could do, again, a little chopped scallion, even like a little parsley just for the color. I have neither, so I'm not going to, but you know, if you're going to a polo party or something. And this way you get like a vegan buffalo dip, but without using vegan cheese for the entire base. And it's really just whole ingredients, and it's pretty good. And it tastes buffalo-y, and it tastes a little cheesy. And look at that spiral. That's neat. I just thought of that earlier. Isn't that cool? All right. The regular dip is in the oven, and let's take a look and stir that and hopefully not burn my hair. Oh, she getting bubbly, y'all. Gonna give that a little stir, help break up some of the chunks, and let it keep going a little bit longer. Oh, I'm so comfortable. Okay, so we've got our regular chicken wing dip here, and we have a vegan version, a buffalo hummus here. Important to discuss, tortilla chips. I love me a tortilla chip. The first being Xochitl brand blue corn. These are like a really paper thin chip, and like for me, these ones are all about mouth texture. These are something that would be ideal with this, although we're gonna hold off. I'm gonna go through chips. They're a little pricey, so they're not my normal go-to, but they're really good just to eat. The second are these Trader Joe brand restaurant style corn tortilla chips. These ones are kind of the opposite. They're a lot thicker and heartier, and they do have a little bit of a lime seasoning on them, but it's not anything like Tostitos lime chips that to me taste kind of like fake. This to me, they're really subtle, and it more just enhances this like stone ground, almost like just a good corn flavor. That's a meaty chip. I'm gonna go for the hummus with this. Trying to get on my headset. Be careful. It's satisfying. It's not just like, I mean, I like regular hummus. I like any hummus, but the nutritional yeast makes it. Look at the hair in my lip gloss, you guys. If you are craving buffalo dip, by all means, you know, they do make vegan cream cheese and other different types of vegan cheeses. But I feel like this is something, first of all, it's a lot cheaper. It's just beans. You might already have this stuff in your house. And even though it's a cold dip, I think the flavor mimics a buffalo dip well enough that I think it hits the spot. Last but not least, Santitas, or as I like to say, Santites. Santite, it is a nice middle range, not too thick, not too thin, salty, clean corn flavor. This is my go-to regular corn tortilla chip. I've been holding off, but it's time to go. You can see it's still even a little bit oily on top, and you can take a paper towel and soak a little of that off. But I'm just gonna stir it up. I'm gonna eat this and try not to burn my mouth too much. I have been holding out on this all day. I probably have not eaten chicken wing dip in about a year. I'm probably gonna eat all of this between tonight and tomorrow by myself. And it's not gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I'm not gonna be good. I'm probably gonna burn my mouth. To me, this is a chicken wing dip eater's chicken wing dip. It's meant for eating. It doesn't need to look like anything. You will just continue to eat it until you feel terrible. which is a good thing, yeah. It is so good. It is so good. One thing that you can do is, once this is cooled down and you store it in the fridge or whatever, and scoop a little bit of it into like an egg roll wrapper, and you just wet the tip of the edges of the egg roll with a little water on your fingers, wrap it up, and then you can pan fry it in just a little bit of oil. You can buffalo chicken egg rolls. You can do what a friend of mine does is she takes this dip and then just mixes it with cooked pasta. Sometimes when I get down to the end of the tortilla chips and I don't have any big enough to scoop it, I just crunch them up and I mix them into it and heat this up and I eat it with a spoon. I have brought this to parties before, and I will stand at the table that it's on and keep eating it. And there was like literally a time that I was like, okay, I've eaten plenty of dip, let me go socialize. And I turned around to walk away, and like subconsciously it was like I just turned back around and I came back to the dip, because you know what? When you bring this to a party, there's nothing else better to be doing than eating the dip. I thought I dipped it in something. I would just like to mention, you're making it through this quarantine / COVID pandemic time, continuing to exist, and I really think even just existing right now is something to be proud of. Because things kind of suck between COVID, between the election, and personally there's just so much anxiety there. For me, as somebody who I always felt like I typically had pretty solid, healthy mental health and good self-management. For me, when I'm feeling down, or if I'm feeling stressed or just depressed, oh my god, that usually manifests itself to me just in a complete lack of motivation to do anything. Bare minimum sitting. I can sit. Sometimes I don't even want to turn on a TV show. I can just sit there. And I think it's important right now for us to, if you're ever feeling like that someday, preemptively allow yourself that space to exist in that way. Remove the layer of guilt that you should be doing something else. Because when we really need to relax and we're relaxing, there's often well, I really was, I wanted to use this time to clean up, or I wanted to use this time to work on this project. But some days all you can do is sit there. So give yourself the space to sit there. I had my couple days last week where I just kind of sat. And now look at me. I'm dressed as Britney Spears in my apartment eating chicken wing dip. A big bowl of it. So it's very exciting. It's very exciting times. I know that chicken wing dip is a fairly common thing now, but I firmly believe that this one is the best. So I hope you take the time to make it. I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy Halloween. Even if you're not going out somewhere, doesn't mean you can't dress up like America's #1 pop star by yourself. So, definitely do that. And take care of yourself. Give yourself space. I hope I have enough space in this outfit for my body. I'll see y'all later. How's it go? Brittany, before you go, there's something I want you to have. Oh, it's beautiful, but wait a minute. Isn't this? Yeah, yes it is. But I thought the old lady dropped it into the ocean in the end. Well, baby, I went down and got it for you. You shouldn't have. Oops,